Here's the American English translation of your text, maintaining a conversational and engaging tone. Have you ever wondered if you truly have enough power to lead and resolve all the chaos around you? That hesitation isn't just normal worry, it's an inner shadow, the fear of losing control that prevents you from stepping into a leadership role. Let's explore the ruler she-queen archetype and how you can confront that fear to truly shine. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. In Jung's philosophy, each of us carries unconscious archetypes, and among them, the ruler or the queen symbolizes power, order, and the ability to lead. However, power isn't merely a position. It demands responsibility, vision, and sometimes confronting your own dark side. The ruler queen archetype not only represents the ability to control, but also harbors the fear of being overthrown, fear of chaos, and even fear of becoming tyrannical yourself. As Jung emphasized, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. When you hesitate to embrace a leadership role, you're missing an opportunity to live true to your potential. The ruler queen archetype encourages us to step up, take responsibility, and establish order. But only when we identify the shadow within, those doubts, that fear of power, can we balance that strength wisely. In this video, we'll explore how the ruler queen archetype operates psychologically, why we fear power, and how to practice inner work to overcome barriers and confidently lead yourself and others. In Jungian psychology, the ruler archetype embodies the ability to establish order and control your environment. When balanced, this archetype allows you to not only make decisive choices, but also inspire others, create long-term visions, and maintain discipline. However, if that balance is broken, the tendency to over-control can turn into authoritarianism, isolating you from genuine relationships and stifling collective creativity. As psychological types emphasizes, the ruler archetype is the principle of organization, order, and control. The crucial thing is to understand the motivation behind every decision. Your power isn't meant to dominate, but to maintain stability and foster collective growth. Before leading others, you need to ask yourself, what's driving me? A mission to serve the collective, or a desire to assert personal status? The fear of power actually stems from the shadow ruler, the dark part hidden deep within your unconscious. When you tremble at the thought of giving orders, it's not just work pressure, but a reaction from your inner shadow. Sometimes you're obsessed with the idea of becoming unfair, afraid of isolation when power creates distance from colleagues, or you withdraw because of overwhelming responsibility, imagining that one small mistake could lead to huge consequences. To resolve that shadow, Jung encouraged a process of inner dialogue combined with purposeful practice. Start by journaling whenever you feel anxious about power, vividly describing the sensations in your body, a racing heart, a dry throat, jumbled thoughts. Write down phrases like, "Am I worthy?" and then trace the origin of that belief. Next, visualize yourself sitting opposite your inner shadow. Ask the darkness, "What do you fear most when I step into a leadership position?" Write down every answer, allowing yourself to decode and understand without judgment. Finally, bring theory into practice. Choose a small project. It could be at work or with a volunteer group, and temporarily take on a leadership role. Whenever you need to make a decision, observe your reactions. What makes you hesitate? What makes you feel confident? After each real-world session, take a few minutes to accurately jot down memorable moments, others' feedback, and your inner feelings. Alongside this process, you can adopt a power pose every morning, standing tall with your hands on your hips, breathing deeply for 2 minutes. Research shows this posture helps increase confidence hormones and reduce stress. Write a letter to your future self, 5 years from now, to reinforce belief in your leadership abilities, or regularly check in with a trusted friend for honest feedback on your demeanor and impact on others. When you actively engage in self-dialogue and regular practice, your inner ruler will become more flexible, allowing you to make quick decisions while still listening to others' opinions, maintain order without rigidity, and lead with inspiration rather than imposition. The most important thing is to transform fear into strength. Identify, understand, and embrace your shadow so your inner ruler can truly shine, both decisive and humane. Let's step into the real world, where the fear of power clearly manifests through everyday experiences. There was a time you were nominated to manage an important project. Instead of feeling excited, you hesitated, wondering if excelling would inadvertently create distance from your colleagues. Afraid that being too good would isolate you, you avoided the opportunity to stay safe in your comfort zone. That's a sign of the shadow ruler, when you fear your own strength more than you desire to use it. In another setting, a highly experienced mid-level manager found themselves in a similar situation. When faced with strategic decisions, they procrastinated, avoiding having the final say. The worry that even a small mistake could cause chaos for the team paralyzed them. This reality demonstrates that even with the necessary knowledge and skills, people can be controlled by unseen fears, stifling their leadership qualities. Figures from positive psychology. Comms show that nearly 70% of female professionals, when promoted to leadership, experience self-doubt. This lack of confidence isn't due to their incompetence, but because societal expectations attached to leadership roles can easily make people hesitant to take responsibility, fearing their voice will cause controversy. The pressure of being a strong queen can sometimes be an invisible barrier, forcing them to battle between the desire for recognition and the fear of losing their humanity. In the King, Queen of Self workshop, each participant was encouraged to write a letter to themselves 5 years in the future, as a leader. The letter didn't just list achievements, it also recorded difficulties and fears overcome and advice for their present self. After the exercise, many shared that seeing their confident, unwavering future self helped them be braver in taking on real leadership roles. This technique unlocks belief, bridging the gap between now and the future you aspire to. All these experiences blend into powerful evidence. The fear of power isn't a sign of weakness, but an opportunity to explore inner depth. When you no longer avoid the shadow, fear gives way to trust and responsibility. Power becomes a tool to build, not a weapon to oppress. Each decision is no longer a burden, but a step forward to advance the collective, making it more stable and united. In that process, you'll realize the value of sharing your vision. A leader isn't alone at the peak of power, but stands with their team, listening and connecting. When you overcome your fear, your leadership style will blend decisiveness with empathy. The work environment becomes more creative, productivity increases, and the bond between team members strengthens. Power then ceases to be a distance, but a strong connecting thread. This argument reinforces a truth. Strength isn't about how much you can control, but about your willingness to take responsibility and resolve fear. In everyday life, by confronting and practicing leadership roles, you not only develop your capabilities, but also build deep trust from yourself and those around you. When inner shadows are understood and integrated, your inner ruler, queen, confidently shines, unafraid of challenges and always striving for order and community development. The bell signaling the start of a greater challenge has just rung. At this stage, we're no longer simply analyzing the manifestations of the ruler in the shadow, but delving into how power can become a transformative force in individual and collective life. When you actively embrace your shadowy parts, you not only heal fear, but also give birth to genuine leadership energy. Power is understood in a broad sense, not just a title, but the ability to influence others' thoughts and actions. In the moment you make an important decision, do you choose to use that voice to create order, establish common goals, or to assert personal dominance? That's the profound test of your inner ruler. When you dialogue with your shadow, you learn to recognize hidden desires and fears, and from there, choose constructive responses. Imagine you're standing before a group, presenting a long-term vision for a new project. Your voice is steady, your eyes convey confidence. Every word is carefully prepared yet not rigid. You know how to listen to each team member's concerns, ensuring every opinion is valued. That's not subservience, it's power harmoniously distributed between decisiveness and empathy. True strength comes from the ability to connect, from the belief that the order you establish will be a springboard for creativity and cohesion. This process takes time and conscious practice. You can start by setting a bold challenge, propose a daring idea in a meeting, then observe your reactions in your colleagues. When you feel anxious, allow yourself to pause, breathe deeply, and ask, what's the source of this fear? Gradually, you'll recognize where self-doubt originates and can actively redirect your thoughts towards long-term goals, towards the common good that your vision brings. Another demonstration of power's transformation is when you lead in non-work settings, perhaps a cultural group, a book club, or a volunteer organization. When you create a clear framework, you see each member voluntarily participate, share ideas, and support each other. The feeling of triumph comes not just from the achieved results, but from the journey of fostering collective growth. There, you're no longer alone at the peak of power. You transform power into a bridge between people. As you analyze deeper, you'll realize that the ruler doesn't oppose the shadow, but coexists within you. The shadow can bring negative emotions, but also warns you about boundaries that need to be overcome. Whenever you feel confused, the shadow subtly reminds you, be cautious. And when you rush into a powerful role without control, the shadow screams, stop! It's in that very voice that you find balance, choosing the right time to be decisive and the right time to be gentle. A prime example is Emily, a creative director at an advertising agency. When she first took on the role, she felt pressured to prove her competence by offering every opinion and overseeing every small detail. As a result, she was exhausted, disconnected from her team, and overall tension increased. After going through the process of dialoguing with her shadow and applying future self-journaling, Emily learned a valuable lesson. Leadership isn't about micromanaging every detail, but about inspiring everyone to create together. She began to delegate, allowing team members autonomy within their scope, only maintaining an overall guiding role. The result, team performance increased by 30%, and the work environment became more creative and cohesive. This process doesn't happen overnight. It requires persistence and the courage to face every small fear. When you recognize the hidden beauty in the shadow, which contains vigilance, self-reflection, and humility, you'll view power as a gift to bestow. Power isn't an end in itself, but a means to achieve a larger vision, building order, inspiring, and uplifting the community. The most wonderful thing about successfully integrating the ruler and the shadow is experiencing the power of spiritual leadership. Power isn't limited to titles or organizations. It extends to your emotional self-mastery, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth, and leading yourself before leading others. Every important decision is no longer a burden, but an opportunity to express your core values: responsibility, vision, empathy, and humility. Concluding this in-depth discussion, ask yourself, on your leadership journey, how ready are you to confront your shadow and transform power into a positive force? Remember that every step, every decision made with awareness and courage is proof of your inner ruler's true maturity. Then, you'll not only be mature enough to wield power, but also compassionate enough to use it for the common good. A common misconception is that leadership is only for extroverted, strong, and tough individuals, while introverted or sensitive people cannot assume positions of power. In reality, every leadership style has its own strengths. Introversion is the source of deep listening and empathy, essential qualities when leading a group of people. Many worry that if they don't adopt the traditional strong style, the team will lose direction. However, listening and understanding don't equate to indecisiveness. When you ask open-ended questions and encourage honest sharing, you not only gather comprehensive information, but also build trust and cohesion. It's from this foundation that important decisions become solid and receive widespread support. Another common rebuttal is, if you're too empathetic, you'll be taken advantage of, and your power will be undermined. But when you dare to confront your shadow, including the anxious and shameful aspects, you'll equip yourself with unwavering self-confidence. Empathy isn't weakness. It's the desire to truly understand people to guide the collective in a positive direction. Power then becomes a tool for building, not a weapon for imposition. Remember, the concept of leadership isn't about riding to the peak of power, but about the ability to take responsibility and unleash the potential of others. When you confront inner doubts and reaffirm your value, you inspire the entire team. Recognition doesn't come from imposition, but from genuine connection and leading by steadfast example. With a leadership style that blends decisiveness and empathy, you not only break down stereotypes about power, but also create an environment where every individual has the opportunity to shine. Then, the fear of power will dissipate, giving way to true confidence and stability. We've explored the ruler-crotchete-queen archetype in Jungian psychology, gaining insight into the fear of power deeply rooted in the shadow, and understanding how to balance decisiveness with empathy. From recognizing hesitation when facing responsibility, to the process of inner dialogue and purposeful practice, you've learned to transform fear into a source of positive leadership energy. Evidence from real-life situations, whether it's the hesitation when nominated for project management, or statistics on self-doubt among female professionals, all show that power is not just a title but the ability to influence and inspire. When you actively embrace your inner darkness, the team not only gains a decisive leader, but is also guided by understanding and cohesion. Remember that the shadow is not an enemy, but a source of warnings and important messages to refine your leadership style. Whenever you feel confused, listen to your inner voice. See it as an opportunity to adjust and improve yourself. When power is used with responsibility, clear vision, and humanity, it becomes the key to unlocking sustainable growth for both you and those who journey with you. Now, you are not only mature enough to wield power, but also compassionate enough to empower others, contributing to building an environment where everyone can shine. As this journey concludes, you've laid the first bricks for the path of true leadership, a path that is both challenging and full of opportunities. Trust yourself, welcome both the darkness and light within, and use your power to create order, inspire, and uplift the community. Now that our journey of exploring the ruler Chi Queen archetype has come to an end, I invite you to take a few seconds to revisit our initial question. Have you identified any part of your shadow that still prevents you from embracing power? Please share any memorable moments from that process or the challenges you're currently facing in the comments section below. Your story and experiences will not only help you gain clarity, but also inspire a community seeking their own path to leadership. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on insightful content about Jungian archetypes in upcoming videos. Each week, our channel will bring you psychological lessons that are both philosophical and highly actionable, helping you understand yourself better and connect more effectively with the world around you. In our next video, we'll shift to the caregiver archetype, the one who nurtures, protects, and supports. You'll discover how this archetype operates in life and work, from building trusting relationships to using compassion as a strength to help those around you. Imagine standing by someone who's struggling, and your very presence, with a heart full of love, becomes a source of motivation for them to overcome challenges. The upcoming video will guide you through practical exercises to cultivate your caregiver energy in a balanced way, avoiding the trap of excessive self-sacrifice. If you're curious about unlocking the power of the caregiver and want to continue your journey of self-discovery through a Jungian lens, make sure to turn on notifications for the newest video. In the meantime, you can also check out the 2 video suggestions on your screen. Embracing your inner caregiver, balance and boundaries, and archetype comparison, ruler versus caregiver. These 2 videos will provide you with additional perspectives on how these 2 archetypes can harmoniously combine, helping you maintain order and vision while also fostering connection and compassion. Have you ever experienced a moment where power and compassion intersected? Tell us in the comments, because every share creates a strong community where we learn and grow together. Thank you for taking the time to explore the ruler-queen archetype with me. I look forward to seeing you on our next journey, where we open our hearts to the caregiver archetype and continue our path to becoming the most complete version of ourselves.